Hello and welcome. You're watching Reality Check. I'm Natasha Jog. Now, there's a very public and bitter battle over language and which has been playing out in Karnataka. Where is that coming from? It's coming from a tweet by Kiran Shaw, and this one, of course, began after Kiran Shaw said that the Kannada Development Authority is an insignificant group of naysayers for opposing the state government's proposal to introduce English classes in 1,000 primary schools. She said that the media always portrays a small and insignificant group of naysayers as activists. These are usually attention-seeking troublemakers who don't care about education nor employment. Now, she tweeted referring to the Kannada Development Authority stand on the issue. The Kannada Development Authority chairman had led a delegation, in fact, to the Chief Minister, urging him to roll back the proposal to introduce English classes in schools. He said that the focus of the state government instead should be to encourage education in mother tongue, which is Kannada. Now, responding to a stand, she said that political contents are trying to play mischief with a tweet saying that she stands by her comments that students should learn Kannada and English for competent job opportunities. But of course, it's once again opened that Pandora box over a language and just why the language battles in India refuse to end. Well, just a short while back, I spoke to Mohandas Pai. I began by asking him about this entire English versus Kannada debate and why, even in this day and age, the two can't seem to go hand in hand.
No, I think both should go hand in hand, because I think that education in the mother tongue is the best for the child. But there's a problem with the mother tongue because only 70% of the Kannadigas have said Kannada is the mother tongue as per the 2011 census. So 30% is outside, and you cannot say Kannada should be the mother tongue because others are there too. And that is 30%, which is not a small number. And two, Kannada suffers from a lack of content. So if you train them, if you educate them in their own mother tongue, you've got to create content. Now in China, in France, Germany, in Japan, they have developed content through mass translation. For the last 30-40 years, government of Karnataka has not invested. That KDA and other enthusiasts have been pushing language without asking for translation or increasing content in science, technology, geography, other forms of knowledge, because literature alone is not content, adequate content. You can't live on literature. That's a major problem. And third, very importantly, in government schools, people have been abandoning government schools at a rapid rate. Today, only 47% of the children are in government schools, 55% are in private schools. Soumya Ghosh of SBI wrote about it too. That is, people are abandoning. Why are people abandoning? One, they want the children to learn English. So English as a language has to be taught in from class 1, on which I think there's broad consensus. Second, many of them want an English medium because they believe that English medium will equip their children to compete with others. So they are leaving government schools and going to bad private schools. Not that there are many good schools where they can go to, paying money where they get shoddy education. So it's best for government to have English as a language, and I have maybe 1,000 schools, government schools, where they have English medium. Because out of 45,000 government schools after consolidation, the proposal is only for 1,000 schools. You try and experiment with 1,000 schools and recognize the right of the parent to make a choice. The Supreme Court, when Karnataka went to the court, said the parents are the right people to make a choice. Citizens should have a choice. Give them the choice. So we are a liberal society, and yes, we must protect Kannada. We must invest in Kannada. We cherish Kannada. But this is not the way to push things down people's throat.
Not the way to push things down people's throat. Now, also the job market reality. You're an employer. Now and then there are reports that come out to say that so many, of India's young could not get employed because of lack of English speaking and writing skills. So, isn't it also a reality that this is needed for jobs in India, needed for employment at a time when jobs is really in focus?
Exactly, because by pushing this and saying they should not learn English or they should not have English medium, you're condemning the poor to a suboptimal existence. Because who goes to government schools today in Karnataka? Only the poor, who have no choice, who don't have any schools. You ask any parent, they want to go to a private school, they want to learn in English. So only the poor with no hopes. So those people who are already dispossessed, who are poorer, who belong to backward communities, you're pushing them down and depriving them of upward mobility, which is totally wrong and very discriminatory. Because all the people who are trying to push this are well-off people. They are part of the better form of society, and their children and grandchildren, I'm sure they don't go to medium government schools. They don't go to government schools at all, most of them at least, and they're trying to put it on other people is totally wrong. Citizens should have choice, but they have a valid point which all of us must recognize. We must invest in Kannada. It is our state language. It is the mother tongue for 70% of people. We must invest. We must create content. We must make sure our culture is not lost. We cannot become a dispossessed people in 30, 40 years where nobody speaks the local language because our culture in Karnataka is transmitted to our language. So we must invest. On that there can be no doubt. So, but not like this. We must find a wire media where we don't compromise the future of our children, give the poor an equal chance like anybody else, and the government has to do that, and also invest in Kannada and make the language richer.
Okay, last question before we wrap this, which is, talking about regional pride, is it really so fragile? Do we need to be just so sensitive?
No, I don't think it is so fragile because public opinion is against them. Let's remember that this 1,000 schools and English medium came in the JDS manifesto, and they're doing as per the manifesto. The party is run by Devegowda ji, who is our former Prime Minister, 60 years of political experience, a great man, and Kumaraswamy is no spring chicken, he is a former Chief Minister, he knows it. So right now I think they're buckling under because they don't want to have a controversy. They're a minority government supported by them, they don't want people against them, they're buying peace. But I'm sure if they are stronger, they will push it through because it is there in the manifesto. So these are all things for which they don't want to take a panga now. Like you say in Hindi, they don't want to take panga now. They said, TK, we compromise, we'll see Paklam. Like in Tamil, you say Paklam, Norana, Baravasha Norana, means we'll see it next year. Right now you buy peace because the bigger issue is keeping the show going for the 2019 elections, right?
Right, Daspai, thanks. I'm you're saying, of course, politics is what behind it, keeping the show going for the 2019 elections. But really, in this day and age, is there any getting away from English? That still remains the big question. Every now and then, these kind of language wars keep sprouting from all across the country. That's what we're looking at today. Well, we're going to be joined, in fact, on the phone line by Danish Ali, the National Secretary, National General Secretary of the JDS. We're going to go across to him in a bit. Also joining us from Bengaluru will be Professor Siddaramaiah, Chairman, Kannada Development Authority. Joining us in the Delhi studio is Professor Purvanand, Professor of Hindi at the University of Delhi, also Professor Vijaya Ramaswamy, historian with JNU. Thanks both for being with us. Professor Purvanand, let me start by asking you, is this an issue of regional pride as you see it, and also English? I mean, is it still elitist?
No, I think we need to move on because English is no longer a language of colonialists, so it's very much an Indian language, and there is a demand in society for English. So, and we must understand that people think that by acquiring English, you also acquire a cultural capital for yourself. So this demand can't be ignored, and we must understand that there are historical reasons for this demand. So we should stop looking at English from our earlier lens. English is very much there and we can't ignore it. Secondly, the middle classes which educated themselves earlier have themselves to blame for it because they adopted English, they educated their children in English. Now if we start preaching the new entrants that the sound pedagogic principle is that teach your children the medium of mother tongue. It doesn't appeal any longer. So that's one. Second, learning languages should be encouraged. So now we have started saying that it's not mother tongue, it's not about mother tongue, it's about your home tongue or it's about your neighborhood tongue. So don't call it mother tongue.
So let me understand that the language that you hear around you at home or
in your neighborhood is the language, is your first language, and it would be easy for a child to get educated in that language in her primary stages.
I see.
So that is the sound pedagogical principle, but we forget that. And we have introduced English as the medium of instruction from class 1 or even from nursery, which in fact silences children. Silences most of the children in classrooms.
So are you then saying, sir, that is too young to get children to work on both, or to start hearing English as well as their mother tongue or neighborhood voice, language that you're talking about?
What does our research tell us? Research done across countries, it tells us that language teaching at elementary levels done in your home language or neighborhood language
is the way to go.
I see. But we are ignoring it, and we are moving it in different direction, thereby disabling our children, silencing them. And many children are forced out of school only because we have introduced English as the medium of instruction in elementary stages. So we don't look at it from this point of view, that there is a huge crisis which exists in our schools and in societies. The children we call dropouts are in fact push-outs because of our policies and our prejudices.
That's a very important point that you're making, that they haven't just dropped out, but in a sense our policies have pushed them out. Okay, I'm just coming, ma'am, in a moment, but Professor Siddaramaiah, sir, if you can hear me, this is the debate is going that of course we need to focus on languages like Kannada, but can we really ignore English? Professor Siddaramaiah.
Hello.
Go ahead, sir.
Hello. Hello. Tell me. Hello.
Go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
I want to speak in Kannada. Please forgive me.
There is I'm not sure that I'll be able to follow that, sir.
ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದೇನು I can't speak in English. I want to speak Kannada and Kannada only.
Well, we will have a slight problem with that, sir, because we will not be able to fathom.
ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದೇನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ,
okay.
If you can't understand Kannada means I can't help.
Okay, that's quite actually a position, really, and that's really backing everything that you've been saying.
ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾನು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನನಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್. I only know Kannada. With heartfully, I want to speak in Kannada. ಏನು ಅಂದರೆ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಯಾವುದೇ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತೃಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ, ಮಾತೃಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಿಸಿದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕಲಿತಾರೆ. ಮಾತೃಭಾಷೆ ಅಲ್ಲದ, ಅರ್ಥಾತ್ ಪರಿಸರ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲದ, ಪರಿಸರ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲದ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ,
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you just translate that for us as you go along as well? I mean, could you just translate for us, for the benefit, I mean, for our benefit, for the benefit of our viewers?
Please,
can I do it?
Please give.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Please give me some time to explain it. Please give me some time to explain it. But I want to speak in Kannada fluently, with heartfully.
I have no doubt that you're very fluent at it, sir, but I have no doubt that you're very fluent at it, and I'm coming to you in a moment. In a moment. You have, of course, made point, you've made quite a statement there by how you chose to respond, but Shali, you're with us, sir. Now you're hearing Professor Siddaramaiah on the program. We can of course get a sense of what he's saying, just from this little bits that we are picking up, but making quite a statement. Now, their argument has been that cannot introduce English at the cost of your mother tongue. Everyone else largely seems to argue that there's really no getting away from English. But is primary schools, primary classes too early? Danish Ali, hi sir, that question was for you. And we seem to have lost that line there. We'll just try and see if we can go back. But Professor Ramaswamy, I'm in here. Now, there is, like the point that Professor Purvanand made, that there's really no getting away from English. But how soon is too soon? When do you start? We're clearly not paying enough attention to this.
The point that was made when talking in Kannada is precisely that you want to address a neighborhood, you want to be understood by your people, you have to speak in Kannada. And that's the point that he was making. So he says that the best line of communication with your own people is in your own language.
I see.
Point well taken.
Of course.
But I would say that if you keep communicating only with your people, your world is going to be, you're going to be like a frog in the well.
Okay.
You will not go beyond that.
Okay.